Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LPFM.
Connecting Highline and our region.
History, cultural heritage, art, performances, contemporary pop culture.
We collect, preserve, and tell the stories of the Highline region and its people.
We want to embrace our differences and similarities.
We want to extend our mission outside the walls of the museum. Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LPFM.
Hi everyone, this is Nancy. I'm the director of the Highline Heritage Museum, and today we have an awesome guest with us. I'm super excited. I truly admire him, and I hope that through this interview you can get a sense as to why is such an amazing person. And so I'm going to let him introduce himself. But before we go there, I would like to express why are we doing this. This is just to make sure that we are bringing the stories in a different format, to make sure that we are addressing accessibility and inclusion in general. It's just that the stories doesn't just have to stay within the walls of the museum, and actually can be out there and people can enjoy it. So that's the reason why we're doing this work through the radio. And so Dave, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, just introduce yourself, and then we go right into who are you. You ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is David Sousa. I'm a longtime Highline member of the community. I have worked or lived in the Highline community for over 50 years. And I originally came into the Highline community in 1956 when I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And I have enjoyed the community. I have enjoyed the area, and that's why I have stayed and lived here and been part of it for just about all my life.
Yeah. Dave, who are you? I mean, I can express on my own words who are you in my perspective, but I just wanted you to take ownership of your own story. You're the one driving. So who are you? Who are you? Who's Dave? And why are we in the place that we're in? What makes you you? And then how do we align together to be in this position right at this moment?
Well, a lot of it has to do with family. Growing up, there was 8 kids in the family, and we all became close and helped each other, and were always there for each other. And we just basically grew up together, because you grow up and you have one bathroom for 10 of you. It gets to be kind of complicated sometimes, but we just became so close. And through being here in the community, a big part of it was my work in the restaurant business. I originally came and started working in the SeaTac area in 1982 in a restaurant. It used to be an old Sambo's, and it became Shumsky's SeaTac restaurant, and grew even more into the community at that time. SeaTac came a city during the time I was there, and I left in 92 to pursue other adventures, but it's always been restaurants. It's always been helping. After 1992, I ventured out on my own and started helping other restaurant owners turn their restaurants around and make them more profitable. I have helped open restaurants that were closed and with new owners, and open them up and get them running. And finally, in 1995, I bought my own restaurant in the SeaTac area called Dave's Diner and Brew, and been loving the community ever since. And they have been such a big part of my life, and supporting Dave's Diner, and that's how I got into being a volunteer at the museum.
Well, we're gonna go to your volunteer a little later, but like let's go back a little bit about Dave's Diner and what if a lot of you might recognize the restaurant. It was located right on Pacific Avenue, and I just loved how the decorations and the menus and everything that you presented. It is a family business. You work with your wife, you work with your sisters, and it's really beautiful to see how you did that. Will you mind describing what was the decorations and the aesthetics and the environment in the restaurant for the ones that have no idea what was Dave's
Sure.
Diner?
Being in the SeaTac area by the airport, I wanted to create a comfort zone with comfortable food for travelers and for a place where the community could come in and enjoy a home cooked meal. And so we developed our menu from there. And the recipes are pretty much my recipes. It was just meat and potatoes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Um, you can get a big, huge omelet, or you can have a small, little light breakfast, or we had anything and everything from burgers to sandwiches, steaks, seafoods, full bar. And I wanted to create the atmosphere of an old style diner. So we became we became uh, our decor was the Route 66 decor. And it's a restaurant that you would have found back in the 50s along Route 66. And um, people loved it. People loved the decor. Uh, we would have LPs and records on the wall, old photos, license plates from dating way back to the 20s. And it was a community place because they brought items to me to hang up. And it was just enjoyable. It was so fun working with my sister and my wife. Uh, was challenging at times, but it was very enjoyable, and it just brought us closer together.
Yeah. Even from the outside, people didn't have to go all the way into the restaurant to know that there was something different and unique. You had your car outside. It was one model of the car was.
Yeah, we had a old 1957 Chevy that was outside, and it was a four-door, but it was just a car that my brother and I pulled out of some stickers and gave the lady who farm it was on $50, and she was happy, and there was nothing in it. And we sanded it down and painted it and put it out in front of the restaurant, and people absolutely loved it. And the story on the car is when we closed, this young man bought the car because when he was a little kid, he used to play in the car. And so he wanted to buy it so he could take it home and maybe restore it. But there was always a story behind something.
Yeah, that's what I like about objects. It's always, you see an object, but once you start getting a little bit more context as to, okay, what took place and what was happening. In your case, with a car, even without going into the building, right away, you can tell there was something different, something unique. And so every single time I used to work only a few blocks away from you for many, many, many years. And
Yeah.
so every time I drove to work, I would see it. And it's like it was really cool to know that. So now you are not longer in that location, but I think you're in a new location, even not open to the as a restaurant, but you're still open in many different ways. Would you like to share what we have here at the museum?
Well, when we did close the restaurant, it was time to retire. And that was in October of 2000, I mean, of 2018, when we closed. And Nancy, showed up at my doorstep, and the city of SeaTac called her and asked her to come over and maybe to look to see if there was some memorabilia that she could get for the museum. So we looked around and we ended up coming up with some ideas, and then we had two neon signs that said Dave's Diner, kind of old fashioned, and one on each side of the building. And we decided to donate one of those to the museum. So in November, when the sign company took it down and we brought it over to the museum, I could see that they kind of needed some help with some things that were going on. And so I just had the time, I stepped in and started helping carry all this stuff in from outside. And I started volunteering here. And it just became a love for me. Being in the restaurant business is a very hectic, busy, demanding business, and this was more rewarding, relaxing, and it was my way to give back to the community after all the years of them supporting me. So came here, and I love history. I love the history of the area, especially, and here I am.
Yeah, you skip a few things in there, but I'll get back to it in a minute.
Okay.
The reason why I mentioned that the restaurant is open is because you can still see some of the artifacts in display. You can still see the signs and some of the photos, and the story still continues, even though Dave and his wife are not serving food. They are sharing the stories. They're still engaging with the community. So to me, it's like, yes, closing one format but reopening a different format, and the light is still shining on the sign. The light
Yes.
has not been off. And so I think that as long as the sign is on, your store is still, your museum, I mean, your restaurant is still open in one way or another. And so that is the beauty about collecting, preserving different stories, is to be able to extend that life, to be able to pass it on to next generations. This project, this museum is not just for us immediately, it's for the ones that are coming in, and it's beautiful. It's great for us to have the opportunity to share your story and your family story in this display. And then, yes, we have a lot of people that say, oh, yeah, I know that. Oh, I remember that. And so it's an immediate reaction to a lot of people that visit us and recognize the sign and recognize the different objects that we are displaying. And so from that restaurant perspective, is an honor to host your exhibit, to tell you stories. Now, as a human being, it's a completely different, as a different page. It's a completely different box. It's not the same thing to me. One is integrity of telling the story of history. Completely is creating a new story as we go through adventures in this place. Um, and everyone who has volunteered here has been kind of, I'm lucky they are not traumatized, or maybe we all traumatized, I don't know, but it's been an adventure of all levels. That day when I met him here on the location, when he was delivering the sign, um, it was just it was three people carrying all the shelving units from historic collections to the space. And they are metal heavy pieces. And then we were like already carrying for many hours because we had to take it down from the collections room to the truck. And then when he came in, we were taking it from the truck to the new location. And so it was already kind of late in the afternoon, not super late, but it was already, we started work super early. And so at that time, was just completely shaking, out of breath, shaking, sweating, crying. I think at one point, I mean, we were all like in a really bad place. And when he came in, I was like, I'm barely conscious, and I'm trying to be polite. And like, I hope I'm not scaring him away with my completely numb brain. And so I don't have the mental or physical capacity to really push a little harder. And so he delivered the sign. We signed the paperwork. It was good. And then I don't know where he just removed his jacket without saying a single thing. And it just started helping. And it is one of those most beautiful, I don't know, demonstrations of caring is for another person and in the kindness of another person. As like he sees that we're struggling, we're shaking, we are not in a good place, and without saying anything, he just jump in. When he started to do that, I think the three of us, it was Tyler, Roger, and I, the three of us, is just like finally someone like somebody give us a glass of water, like, yes, you're thirsty, there you are. And so immediately that was like this sense of gratitude that started in that moment. So when that took place, we said, okay, well, thank you so much for helping us, and we'll continue with the exhibit design, and we'll think about the story. So my brain is like, okay, he's there just for one day and just helping us just getting out of that phase. um the next thing I know, like, what time are you coming here? I think I told you in the morning or something. And then without saying much, he showed up the next day. What you need help with? I was like, oh my God. And immediately, well, all the pieces that you carry with us, now we need to set them up. And he started. And then ever since then, it's been one I have never taken for granted. His kindness, his uh, way to giving back to the community, him or his family, and Jennifer, his wife. Um, and so it was in a moment of need. It was a completely beautiful light. And this museum could have been be open the way it is without him. We're looking at in a situation that we really did not have the funding to do a lot of the work that typical museums will do. So we have to just make it happen as we are able to make it happen. And um, his DNA is all over the place of the building. And it's been a beautiful journey of sharing tears and joy and sweat and anxieties and love and for love in the community in a way that I hope that everyone can feel that as you walk in. We are doing the work as a museum family, and we have more volunteers in many different ways have been helping us. And so Dave is he's here with us, and he's part of this big family that there's a lot of people being involved with. But the way he's tried to help us was with the building exhibits, and that was tremendously. It was huge for us to be able to open the museum. And so, Dave, I know that I'm always saying thank you. I know that I'm always telling you I don't take you for granted, but I'm sharing it with everyone. I'm just confessing this, saying no, it is for real. Thank you for everything that you have done, you and your
Thank you.
family.
Thank
Uh,
you.
why are we doing this work? So we endure and survive the opening. And then right after that, we got into COVID, which is another type of crisis. So just to get you an idea, we have the moving the collections, a big tsunami, opening the museum with the exhibits, another tsunami, and then sustain. How can we sustain ourselves? A complete different ballgame. And then 6 months later, we had COVID, which also changed everything. And and every adventure that we have been going through has been an amazing lesson in many ways, and also an amazing blessings. Your wife also has helped us, and she continues to help. Jennifer, all the work that you're doing, from the tours to the front store to everything that you're doing is just absolutely amazing. There are power, what do you call it? Capo power or power capo? When you have a powerful capo doing things, that's what they're doing. But I already talk way too much, and I want Dave to continue to share more of his stories. So we're gonna go into what does that mean when you say serving or giving back to the community? But then I like to actually like do an autopsy of what that means truly. Um, we tend to use that term constantly in this place. We say we serve in the community, but what does that mean for a person who doesn't understand the work that we're doing internally for us to actually feel that? Um, the all the way from sharing your stories to even you at this second sharing who you are as a human being, and then the adventures that we navigating right now. What does that mean to you to serve the community? Why do you want to do it?
Well, the community, it's like a huge family to me. We at the restaurant, we would have our guests come in, and they would just be um, the friendliest, the nicest, so positive. They would give us ideas, and we would put something new on the menu because some of the ideas that we would receive. We had regulars that we called traveling regulars that were from all over the world. We had our local regulars that supported us and kept us in business for 23 years, and um, it's just a family that's extended as far as you can reach. Um, we always enjoyed uh, talking with the people. They would come in, and then some of our wait staff and bartenders would automatically bring a drink and set it down in front of the table in front of them before they even ordered. And they would go, "Oh, well, I was going to have something different today." And they would say, "Well, call ahead next time." And you do that because they're family. You treat them like family, and they treat you back like family. Um, but extending for me, we have a lot of people who, employees that have connected, become married, they have kids. And I think one of the most special moments uh, was back in the 80s. There was a cook and a waitress that got married, and they had two daughters. And later on at Dave's Diner, their daughter came to work for me. And I went, wow, this is just a circle that's connected, and it constantly just turns, but it's all connected. And that's what the community is. We are all connected.
Yeah, the how did I learn from the city of SeaTech? They were the ones who reach out and say you need to save, and you even have a day the city celebrated you on a specific day, right?
Yeah, when we did close, the deputy mayor gave me a call and said, "Dave, what's going on? I heard you closed." And I explained that it was time to close, and it was time to retire, and the building was just getting too old to keep running. And that's when Nancy came in the next day. They called her and had her come in. And then they gave me a call and asked me to come to a council meeting on October 23rd. And so we went, and they presented us with uh, a certificate of October 23rd is Dave's Diner Day in the city of SeaTac. And it was hard to stand up there and talk and not cry. It was something that touched me so much. And I was so busy in the restaurant business and in the restaurant, running it, cooking, whatever it needed to be done, that until we closed up, I did not realize how much that we touched the community. And the phone calls we were getting, and people stopping by, and even now in the museum, when people come in and they see the Dave's Diner exhibit, and they talk, and you can hear them talking. And if I'm in the museum and I hear them, I'll stop by and talk to them for a while, and it just means so much to me. Um, and I always felt privileged to do what I do. And I thank you, Mom, for that. If it wasn't for my mom, I would have never got into the restaurant business. But um, um, it's so special, and being here and being in touch with each of the communities that are involved here in the Highline area is quite special.
So when I met you, there was very specific instructions. They told me that's why I contact you right away. It's like you have to. That restaurant is a treasure. It's a treasure to the community. And the way two different council members because it was not one, it was two council members that reached out to me. It was not like just one person. It was
Mhm.
not like up there telling me you have to. This is a community treasure. Um, and I always felt a sense of honor for allowing the opportunity to guide us to yes tell that story. I know that you got your kids, you got your grandkids. How many kids do you have?
I have two boys, 46 and 44, and three grandkids. One's 21 and um, a male, and Evie, she's 18, and Owen is 16 now.
Wow. Yeah, this that's a time frame, the teenager period. But now here you are. Since I met you and Jennifer, the two of you have been traveling all over the place. Have and it's also a joy to witness from okay, work, and then now actually deciding when you want to come, deciding when you want to travel to share life in ways that is just beautiful to witness, and it just see you having this joy, the two of you, just doing things and doing that and doing that. And like I said, we don't take anyone for granted in this place, and he is one of the main reasons, like I said, that we're here. Also, I need to express something to him that not everyone can keep up with my madness.
I do.
Oh God. The problem that I have is that my brain doesn't shut down. Meaning, like, if it is a problem or situation, I'm always thinking, I'm overthinking, I'm coming up with A, B, C, and D options all the time. And not everyone can take that. I tell you that my own family don't like that. And so the ability to have, say, Dave, and I kept quiet for a moment, and he's already saying, no, no. He's already recognizing when I got something going on. It speaks about his ability to adapt, to be kind, to don't be part of a problem, but be part of a solution. And that's something that I admire a lot of the two of them. But right now, at this moment with Dave, is that there's no a problem. There's always finding ways to resolve the issues. And that mentality, those values, that way of how you carry on yourself, either it's in a personal level or in a museum, is beautiful to watch. So I also want to acknowledge that not everyone can do that. Not everyone can be adaptable to whatever is facing us. Like when we were up in the museum, I mean, there was a lot of unknown factors. Like, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do that? How we arrange this? And somehow it just make it happen.
Well, being here is like being in the restaurant business is very hard work. And being here is like being on vacation and doing the things you love to do.
Mm.
And so it's so relaxing for me, and it keeps me busy as I want to be. And sometimes Nancy wants me to be more busier, but that's okay.
No intentional. I don't like torturing people.
We're like family, so we can give each other a bad time.
Yeah. Okay, one of the things that we do share in common is when we have like a field trip and we have families or audience or events, and there is this gratification of seeing how people are experiencing the space.
Yes.
What does that mean to you when you see visitors, kids, families? What is that? What is that to you?
Well, I'm here quite often, and when I'm here, many times the museum is not open, it's closed, and it's dark, and it just has um, this feeling of, okay, we got to tweak this and we got to fix that kind of thing. But when we get people in the building, we have events here at the building, this building becomes alive and becomes alive to me. The sounds, the people talking, people sharing their history with one another. Oh yeah, I remember going to Normandy Park and seeing the cove, or I remember going look at the school wall and at Highline High School, and it's just this building becomes alive, and it brings everything that I do here um, meaningful to me. It means more, and when I see the people loving and enjoying their history.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that I think that we are so lucky to experience.
Yes.
All of us in here in this institution, in this museum project or community project. But going back a little bit more about you,
Okay.
we already covered the museum. We got 10 more minutes before we end this. So I want to going back to you with the connections that you have. At one time, you connected with a person, and in fact, we got his cash register downstairs.
Oh, okay.
And you have, well, it's just one example. We can talk
Yes.
a little bit more about that. But the idea of you connecting to the local history too. You have your part of history, but also even going deeper in bringing out more of things that you already know that we should be sharing that. Um, so you love history, right?
I absolutely love history.
What is the part that you like about history?
I love learning the different cultures, the different ways that people had lived back and when the Kellys were here and developing the area and seeing the photos and learning what they have gone through and to Normandy Park and the stories behind some of the artifacts. And like we have this beautiful canoe that's in the Normandy Park area that has quite a history, but everything here has a story behind it. And I don't know all the stories, but I'm learning. And I want to know. I want to know all the stories. I want to know how they got here, why they're here, and it's connected to somebody and somebody that it has a big meaning to this community that we're in. I have grown a lot since I have been here, and I have learned so much, even being in the area for over 50 years. I learn something every day I come into this place, um, and I enjoy doing the exhibits at the SeaTac City Hall, the community exhibit that we do in our hallway every 6 months, and changing out, tweaking some of the exhibits that are here and adding things to it. It means a lot. But before I put those items in, I want to know everything about them.
Yeah. No one, there is an expression in the museum field where we say we're curating the experience, meaning we're thinking about, okay, what is it that we want people to feel and receive when they are in the space, from the lighting to the tone and choosing some of the elements that might help up. Like for example, Bigfoot right now, we got,
Yeah.
okay, how do we bring that atmosphere into the space? We got a couple more minutes. What was your favorite menu item on your restaurant?
I really didn't have a favorite menu item because so many of the recipes were mine, so I enjoyed it all. But one thing that we did have that people from all over, even people from the East Coast, would come and have our clam chowder. And they would say how it was the best that they ever had.
Mm.
And you don't know how many recipes I gave out after we closed because everybody wanted to have a recipe. And I says, well, the recipe is for 15 gallons of clam chowder. And you just have to break it down because I'm retired. I'm not going to break it down.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But yeah, we had my mom's meat recipe for meatloaf, and that was always one of our big things. But one of the things that really did sell a lot is the liver and onions, because mom would like liver and onions, but dad did not. And so when they went out and they were able to have the liver and onions with the grilled onions and the bacon on the top, and then people loved our brown gravy. We made our brown gravy from our drippings from our roast and that we would cook for our roast beef sandwiches and make our own brown gravy. And then my wife is from Hawaii, and so she created a Aloha Thursday menu because we were off on Friday, so you couldn't have Aloha Friday like they had in Hawaii. And we had a menu, and we had the local moco, and the local moco was so good because the brown gravy over the rice and the beef patty and the egg on top was so good, and the kalua pork. But we created menus that people would come in and eat.
Yeah. It's close. I think by the time everyone's listening to this interview, it's closer to dinner time. So I'm sure people are already having some ideas on what they can eat. I hope that you can visit his exhibit. You can come over, and now that you listen to this interview, that you can actually connect the face with the name, the face Dave on the sign with him. Also, just knowing that his wife is part of this whole thing too, with his sister, and it's a family project. And the same thing here. The museum is a family project. It's a pleasure and joy to work with them as a family, and it's just going through this unknown adventures, because we're blind many times. Like we don't know what's coming up.
Yeah.
We don't know what's coming up, but we're just navigating through that. So Dave and Jennifer, but in this case with you, Dave, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And be curious, trying to see who is he and why. And then if you see him around, say hi to him, because I'm sure he will like that. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Our Highline Voices, 106.5 KQWZ LP FM. We envision ourselves sitting at a round table where no one is the leader and stories are heard respectfully, regardless of gender, age, sexual orientation, disabilities, or ethnicity. Our mission is we collect, preserve, and tell the stories of the Highline region and its people. We want to extend our mission outside the walls of the museum. Our Highline Voices represents us all, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and uniting to cultivate our future. This project allows us to reach out to demographics who might be unable to visit the museum. People with disabilities, low-income families, people who don't trust museums, and more. In partnership, we are launching a locally programmed new radio station at the museum, featuring recorded and live Highline's heritage, history, culture, arts, and more. Are you interested in sharing your story? Email director@highlinemuseum.org.